surgeons.
Yeah. Or they might have tried and didn't get through. It's possible because we were very removed from management, you know. I would love to go back and play. I would really love that. Fanny, 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 Fanny. Glasgow. Those boys love to say Fanny, Fanny, over and over again as loud as they could.
Oh, no, you know it.
Yeah.
In England.
We had no idea. Yeah.
So I saw the album.
It was just a name to
I saw
us.
the album cover and I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, what the fuck? So I had to get it and I put it on and every song was so brilliant.
Yeah.
And then you came around and I've got to see these guys and so I did see you perform when you came to the UK.
Oh, wow. How did you get that name?
Well, I heard of this band called Daisy Chain, which I didn't even know that Daisy Chain is. And I just, because we would all the time keep our ears open for any girl band that maybe we could see. And we never saw Daisy Chain. They became Bertha, who became friends of ours. And they were, oh my God, Bertha was so good. They're a guitar player. I never thought I'd be anywhere close to as good as she was. We were huge fans anyway. Daisy. Oh, that's a girl's name. So we were trying to change our name from Wild Honey to something. And I said, why don't we find a girl's name? Well, we threw Fanny into the pot. I'm not sure how it came about, but the lore is that Richard's grandmother's name is Fanny and Alice's aunt's name is Fanny. But Fanny is a legit name, and I hate it when 40-year-old men try to yuck it up on a YouTube comment like they're 12, Fanny, ho, ho, ho. Oh, God, it drives me nuts. But it's a legit name. If you had an Aunt Fanny, you wouldn't be telling her that it means girly parts in England. That's not a thing that you would come up.
And a friend of mine did have an Aunt Fanny.
Yeah. And there are streets called Fanny. There was an actress, there was a movie, no, not Fanny Girl, Funny Girl, but I think her name was Fanny, whatever.
Take a load off Fanny. The band song.
Yeah, exactly, and people weren't tittering about that. And plus, let's not forget that Steely Dan is actually a sex toy. Why aren't they laughing about that? So give me a fucking break. They would not give us a break. That's the thing that broke me. They would not give us a break. They would not let us have a hit. There were not enough people who were convinced by just hearing our records or seeing us live, because we played all the rock shows. We even played the Tonight Show, which is something people don't know, mostly. We played colleges all over the United States. We played everywhere. We played every type of gig, clubs. And we toured with staple singers by Dr. John, Stebble. We did all the big festivals. And what? You won't let us have a top 30? Even a top 30? Much less a top 10 hit? No, I think Charity Ball made it to 29, maybe. But that was our second album. We did 4.
What year did you see the band? I'm curious. What year would that have been?
And where?
Roughly.
72, 73, something like that.
I was in the band then, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we started to go over to England because we went to record at Apple with Richard Perry and Jeff Emmerich in December of '71. And it was before we went to England that we appeared on the Sonny and Cher show, which was a really easy gig for us because we were on the road all the time, but we were at home and I could just iron my clothes, get in the car, and we were driven down to the theater down on Sunset, But it was a very nice story about Cher. She sent Sonny to our dressing room to get us because she was having hair and makeup done. She wanted to meet us. So she sent Sonny, and Sonny came and got us. And the door opened, and she looked up, and this big grin just split her face. She had curlers on, and people around her doing. And she was thrilled at meeting us. Thrilled, I tell you. So, we knew Bette Midler, Frank Zappa. He was a real gentleman to me especially. He really respected me. He never said it, but like I remember walking and checking into a hotel in Germany, and he was standing at the desk, and he turned around, he saw me, and he came up to me first. Now that's class, because guys, for the most part, will not do that. They won't break the ice. They want you to come to them. And he didn't think about it for a second. He came up to me and said hello. He didn't need to say much. We just said hello and, have a great gig or whatever. David was the same way, David Bowie. He had a lot of class. I never heard him put anybody down. We had the most intelligent, really deep conversations about the music biz or art or whatever, So, yeah.
How about, did you get up in the Laurel Canyon? I mean, Frank had this place up in Laurel
I
Canyon.
never went to his place. Yeah, I passed by many times.
Yeah. But you didn't go to any of the house parties or whatever?
I wasn't,
Johnny.
I was so shy. I just wouldn't even, I don't even think I was ever invited because I just was not available. Besides that, we were practicing. We had a lot to catch up
Yeah, I mean,
with.
you were really close at Fanny Hill,
Didn't matter. Did not matter. Because we felt we were on a knife's edge and we knew it. We weren't, when we got to LA, we weren't as good as when we recorded the first album. Because when Addie left the band and it was over publishing, she was with our manager and all this, basic mafia stuff going on. It is the music business after all. It's totally mafia. And it did happen. But our manager left, and she was her girlfriend, so she left, and all of a sudden Jean, I didn't even know she left. And Jean and Alice said to me, well, Alice has quit the band, and now you have to play lead guitar, and I couldn't breathe. I mean, lead guitar, what are you talking about? I can't do that. And I said, give me a couple of minutes. I need to.
process.
Well, yeah, I did. So I walked about 10 blocks, around Fanny Hill, Marmont Lane. Maybe I went to the Chateau. I don't know. Because we were only about 5 blocks from the Chateau. Anyway, I walked around for about 10 or 15 minutes and I came back and I said, okay, I'll do it. Now that's a very Filipino thing, because once I said okay, the next day I was practicing night and day because I didn't know how to play those types of parts. I didn't know how facile you had to be. I wasn't listening to the single note parts. I was listening to the rhythm. So I will tell you that in all honesty, I went from 0 to 100 because I got that solo and badge in 1 year. Now, maybe it doesn't seem that much to you, but it was a tremendous job for me. But I had a lot of company. Like pretty soon I met Lowell George at a jam, and he showed me a lot of stuff. Slide, but also, and I met Skunk Baxter. Skunk, who was he? But I know how I met him. Lowell told me I had to go to this new guitar repairman, and he was on Lancashire. So I went to his little hole in the wall, and I brought my Les Paul and my Strat. And it was Skunk. And he wasn't like, the way that he can be, he was all very nice. And, yeah, I can, you ought to put a master volume on this. That would be really, really great. I said, really? I didn't know. He said, yeah, I could do that for you, I said, okay. And then he said, and if I put bass frets on the Strat, bass frets? I mean, I was resistant. And he said, no, you'll be able to move a lot faster. I said, okay, He wasn't like all show-offy or anything, and I came back a couple of weeks later, picked up the Les Paul and started to play, just to show me that the action was good. And I remember thinking exactly this. He's my guitar repairman. I just sank down into the ground, I mean, shit. And we were rehearsing at Warner Brothers, not far from his place, Warner Brothers sound studios, the movie studios. And so we had a lot of work to do. We were getting our sound together and we were playing the whiskey a lot. So what we were doing essentially was we were forming our sound and learning how to make a big sound be palatable. And that is a job. That is a job. Because we were loud. We were loud. So he said, you know, I have a gig next week with this band. You know, you want to come? I said, really? What's the name of the band? He said, Steely Dan. And I said, maybe. You know, I never went. Because I thought they were some cowboy band. It's some cowboy dump, you know. And everyone, but later he told me that he tried to call me to play slide on one of their songs, and no answering machines. So I never got the message. However, I was standing right in front of him when he did the solo to My Old School, and he was the only one moving in the room. The room was dark. The guys, everyone was standing against the walls, not saying anything. Like they were practically half dead. I felt it was horrible, horrible. I would never go back to a Steely Dan session. But I stood right in front of him, and he did that song. Wild man style, you know. And I just stood there and I watched him. I took it in, you know. I guess I was his avatar for that gig. And I remember he wanted to play one of my guitars for that solo. I can't remember, and he can't. He says now that he didn't, but I think that he played my Strat, but I'm not sure. So, you know, those are a few kind of delectable memories in my mind, because skunk, see, here's the thing. The better the player, the less uppity they were. They didn't put on airs, you know. Why should they? I was just a chick who didn't know anything. So I like hanging with her, so I'm not gonna drive her away by acting like a shit, which, believe me, the guys who didn't know very much, they did treat me like shit, you know. They would drive me away. Okay, fine. You know, I just move on to the next club or the next jam or whatever. So my life was filled with rehearsals, jamming, going to clubs to find people who could play and could maybe show me a thing or two. You know, I went to the the Troubadour, but the Ash Grove a lot. That was a great place. I don't know if you remember the Ash Grove. Yeah, that was a great place. Oh my God. And the whiskey, of course, you know, we could go anytime. So, and there was a place called V Experience, THEE Experience. So that's where I first met Jackson, for example. And he had a partner. I mean, I know that. And his partner was Ned Doheny of the Doheny family. They sounded fine, I thought. They're fine. But, you know, the powers that be picked Jackson out to be the star, like they do in girl bands. They say, you ought to leave that band. Let me manage you, and you'll be a star. You know, that's happened more times than I can count. So he became Jackson Brown, you know, a solo artist. I liked him just fine. I thought he was fine with Ned, and I thought he was great by himself. So, and I also knew his guitar. Well, it wasn't his guitar player. The guy who played solo on Dr. My Eyes.
Jesse Ed.
Jesse Ed, yeah. Jesse Ed was a really good friend of mine. In fact, I listened to, it was just kind of a throwaway song for me, a summer song. I listened to Summer Song just last year, because I really didn't want to listen to Fanny for the longest time. And I hear the first lick and I think to myself, how did they get Jesse Ed and the David in the studio? I don't remember that. And another lick, it's Jesse Ed for sure. I mean, how did they get him in the studio? But as the song progressed, I realized actually it was me. But Jesse Ed was such a great close friend of mine. He always brought his wife to the house, which I loved. I'm just going to tell you this one little tale that just still really pisses me off. England, at a hotel room, 2 in the morning, I hear a knock on the door. And it's Lou Reed is wearing a black t-shirt and I don't know what. He doesn't even say hello to me. He says, do you have any speed? I said, no. And I slammed the door in his face. I mean, that was a world away from Jesse Ed. Jesse Ed was a real gentleman from the rest. And they know how to act. They know how to act, you know, even when he was going out, because he did call me in the middle of the night and ask me if I had any angel dust. And that was pretty much the last time we talked, because angel dust to me meant death. Somebody had spiked some, you know, a reefer that we were smoking in the alley in between sets outside of that lesbian bar. It's a true story. They put angel dust in the reefer, and like 4 of us got on that stage, and oh my God, we disappeared. I remember standing there playing really, I knew it was out there, but I thought, wow, this feels great. But then the set ended, and I came down, and I thought, what was that, you know? It was angel dust. And somebody spiked a reefer that they left at our house. Hey, you want this reefer? Okay, it was just me and Jean. It was in the afternoon. Fanny Hill, which was a beautiful house, actually. And so we're in the living room. So we took some tokes. And then I said to Jean, we're going to live through this, right? We're making a vow. We're going to live through this. And then we both disappeared. And we came back. It would have been so easy for us to have died in that living room and nobody knew. So that's my, you know, stay away from drugs story. Especially if somebody puts in it something, gives it to you and you don't know where it came from, really. So we took those kinds of chances, and thank God we lived through, because that happened one more time when I went on the tour with Jean to back Butterboy, because of course I was already out of the band, and she was actually at my house in Woodstock, and it was a big snowstorm, and we're sitting at the kitchen table, and I said, so what's happening with Fanny, you know? And she said, oh, we finally broke up. It's over. We did the album, and it's over with. We've broken up. The phone rings. Literally, the phone rings. And it's Hollywood. And I'm like, Jean, you have a hit. You have to come back so we can make money. This is a true story. And I drove her to the airport in that snowstorm so she could get right back to LA. And she called me about a week later and begged me to go on that tour, because she just didn't want to do a tour with Patty Quattro for whatever reason. And so I did, and that's how I got in with, you know, Chris Williamson. I had met Chris Williamson, and she was doing her album Changer, and I was in LA, so I played on Changer and the LA All-Stars, unfortunately, because that was a great band, did not work out, and that's what got me to play with Chris, because she kept asking me to go, oh, why don't you go on the road with me? And I'm thinking, you're just playing an acoustic guitar. I mean, that's not anything. I mean, I liked her, and I would jam with her, but go on the road with you? Inconceivable. But then, you know, we had Artie Rip as our kind of manager, producer, and of course he's a rip-off. So it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And finally I said to Chris, okay, I'll go on the road with you, you know. But we're so poor, we had to borrow a friend's car, and I had to sit, you know, where you change the gear, I had to sit on that hump. But the really good thing about that tour was, every gig was packed, and I'm like, what is happening here? I couldn't believe it. And number 2, I would get so bored. I mean, before we even hit Reno, I said, I'm bored. So she started singing me cowboy songs and that repertoire, you know? I mean, she knows those cowboy songs because she's from Montana. So she would sing me those songs to keep me amused, and I took it in. I could hear it. I could hear it, you know? The Carter sisters, the Carter family, Will the Circle Be Untrue, all that stuff. She sang them to me a cappella in that little car, me sitting on the hump, and I got it. So then I got this other form of music in my body, because there was nobody trying to make me learn it or whatever. It was just like I was just so uncomfortable. But we ended up making it fun, and for a long time we opened up with one of those songs. What was it? Something about Circle of Friends. The name of it was Circle of Friends. And I played a 12-string guitar on it, and you know, I learned a lot from her. So actually, I left Fanny to become involved in the women's movement, but I didn't know that. I just knew I had to leave Fanny. I went to Long Island, then I ended up in Woodstock, and I was doing Buddhist practices. I was reading Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. And I ate that stuff up. I mean, it would really sink in. I was praying a lot. I was praying for my life, really, because I didn't know what I was heading towards. And it was hard to leave Fanny. Believe me, it was hard. It was really hard. And, you know, I abandoned Jean and all that. But I did stay until we found Patty. So that was my promise. I'll stay until we find another guitar player. So, yeah, that was 75. See, my first book ends in 75. My second book picks up in 75. Because that, for me, is when the paradigm shift started to happen. Rock and roll, which was morphing with Latin music and salsa and disco, for me, crossed with women's music, with that type of music and spirituality in the music, you know. So for me, it was incredibly huge. And the paradigm shift was happening for the whole world, but we didn't know it. You didn't know it. Maybe you knew it. I don't know how you would have known it if you didn't go to a Chris Williamson show. Because that's what showed me that something was happening. I'm like, something's happening, but I don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? You know? And within 6 months, I figured it out. You want to hear what I figured out? I figured out that a hole had opened up in the universe, the paradigm, and all these souls, we had made a promise to each other that we would show up then and do whatever we had to do to start to shift things. And I sure hope that hole opens up soon again, because we need, I mean, I'm talking about witches, I'm talking about Nostradamus, I'm talking about Da Vinci, you know, everybody in this world who was killed for actually accelerating our soul growth. That's what was happening. I could see it. I could see it. How else could all these people, no internet, I mean, we had typewriters, but, I mean, we'd show up at these gigs and they would be packed. And the vibe was so hot. It's the same vibe as me playing with Ruby Barra now. That is it's the same vibe. So I guess a hole is starting to open up. Because when I step on stage with her, there's definitely something else going on. It's certainly closed a circle in my life, you know, that had to, I feel like it is now a circuit. I feel like I am a living, walking circuit because I'm playing with Ruby. Not all the time, but because I have that experience and now that's in my body. I mean, my God, her audiences, it's incredible. You know, I mean, I never saw the Beatles, but it's like that. It's incredible. I'm so proud of being able to play with her, being involved in the music and the video and all that. It's really been life-altering. So, any comments? Because I would like to maybe put a couple of photos up and maybe take a little bathroom break. Would that be okay with you?